In the high-flying world of JavaScript, one thing we can all agree on is that far too many things happen. Each day the sun rises and we peel ourselves out of bed, just trying to remember all the things that happened the day before, only to be forced to drink from the firehose of happening things all over again. So, what the hell even happened this year? The State of JavaScript, an annual developer survey, just published its findings. Let's start with one of the most interesting questions in the whole survey. What proportion of the code you produce is AI generated? Interestingly, here are the results. 80% of the respondents are using AI in their work, but they're using it to fill in gaps. The overwhelming majority of respondents are still writing most of their code by hand. Sundar Pichai, CEO of tech giant Google, recently revealed that about 25% of new code being written at Google is indeed AI generated, piloted by software developers who write the other 75%. This number matches what we see in these survey results pretty closely. Next up, salaries. As always, there is a big difference between salaries in the US versus the rest of the world. Here's what it looks like in the US, and here's everywhere else. In the US, 77% of respondents are making 6 figures a year, with the median salary being $175,000 US. To see if developer salaries hadn't kept pace with inflation, let's check with the US Bureau of Labor Statistics. In 2019's median pay was $107,510 US. And let me quickly turn my page. And in 2023, median pay was $130,160 US, a plus of 21%. During the same 4-year period, cumulative inflation was 19.2%, so even in real terms, developer salaries have indeed increased. Generally, people have expected developer salaries to decrease, lol, given the rise of AI, but actually the opposite might be happening. What a shocking revelation! Developers are more productive with AI tools, so doesn't it make sense that pay would rise with productivity? This year, the State of JavaScript survey started asking about job titles. It turns out there's a significant salary difference between developers and engineers. On average, a software engineer earns almost 2 times as much as a developer, even though the community argues that it's basically the same job. If you're looking to earn more cash, maybe start searching for engineer instead of developer on job sites, or change your title on LinkedIn. Though, this can be tricky depending on where you live. In some countries like Canada, engineer is a protected title like doctor. You need a specific license in order to use the term, and there could be potential legal consequences for impersonating an engineer. Alright, let's actually look at some JavaScript stuff. There weren't a ton of surprises in this section, though 56% of developers haven't used logical assignment operators. Fools! Every year, the State of JavaScript collects information on respondents' experiences with JavaScript libraries and frameworks. This chart looks pretty wild, with everything converting towards the center as though the graph has gravity. The vertical axis represents how widely used something is, the horizontal axis is how people feel about it. So for example, React is still the most widely used front-end framework by a long shot, but its favorability has fallen quite a bit over the past few years. Maybe this drop in favorability is more about Next.js than it is about React. Check out this graph, which tracks positive sentiment about various meta frameworks. Next.js is the blue line that starts earliest in 2018. At its peak, almost 80% of developers had a positive sentiment about Next.js, but that number has now fallen below 60%. What another shocking revelation! Unsurprisingly, TypeScript has gotten even more popular. In 2019, 40% of developers had never used TypeScript before. A few short years later, and it's not even a question anymore, thank God. Now the question is whether we're using it exclusively. Well, that pretty much does it for me, but that does it for me, but this was just the tip of the iceberg. See you soon.